Good morning, everyone. If I could have your attention. Okay, we're utilizing the intervention enrichment period this morning for an important assembly that's brought to you by the Rotary Club of Greater Westchester. Rotary is one of those service organizations that helps the community in many, many ways. One is education. And today, they're going to talk to you about distracted driving. And you're saying, why distracted driving? I'm in 8th grade, I'm only 13, or I just turned 14. Well, there's 3 high school seniors that are joining us today, and in just 4 years, you'll be seniors at whatever school, mostly Ruston, but they have their driver's licenses, and they're going to talk to you in addition to our gentleman from the Rotary Club, Mr. Rudiger, and also, you know, Officer Mike. So, have an open mind. There's some videos that are impactful, but they're not real. They are simulations. And there's one young lady that tells her story of distracted driving. So it's a little emotional. It's not as heavy as the NOPE assembly, but you should pay attention and give them your full attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. C. My name is Mark Rudiger. I'm a Rotarian. I'm with the Westtown Goshen Rotary Club. And Rotary is an organization. It's worldwide. There's well over 1 million members in over 100 countries worldwide with the goal of making the world a better place. And locally, we do things. We funded the expansion of the FAME Fire Company. We've, for any of you who have been to Oakbourne Tower, you know that big in the park. We renovated that. We raised about $40,000 to, they were going to tear it down, and we rebuilt it. We do a lot of projects, and the largest project that Rotary has ever done on an international scale was started about 25, 30 years ago with an intent to wipe out the disease of polio worldwide. When I was 7 years old, I was actually in the first polio clinical trial, because back then, you didn't have to do anything to get polio. It was a devastating disease. Thousands of people died every year, most of them children. It was called infantile paralysis. And there were literally hundreds of thousands of people that became crippled, and they would have deformities, and they'd have to live the life. Dr. Salk, a research scientist from the University of Pittsburgh, came up with a vaccine. I actually went through the test. Unfortunately, I got the placebo, which means I had to have 3 more injections, which I didn't like very much. But we're in a process right now of trying to wipe out this disease worldwide, and there's just a couple countries. Now, what we see right now is another epidemic. Not an epidemic of a disease, but an epidemic of behavior. And it doesn't take anybody very long to drive down any road in Westchester or Pennsylvania to see people looking at their cell phones, doing other things that are considered distraction driving. And we're going to go over how many injuries and deaths there are there. What we're asking right now is this is the first program we're doing. And we want you to be our advocates. We want you to empower yourselves and your friends to speak out against distracted driving. If you see your brother, your mom, or somebody else, we want you to have the power to do it. Because we know none of you have driver's licenses yet. But you're in a position where you will someday, and this program is just to show you the importance of it and why we have to stop this to save lives. So with that, let me turn it over to Officer Mike.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Officer Mike with the West and East Goshen Police Department. Most of you know me, some of you don't. I've been through some of your other schools, and just so you know, I cover the 17 schools within our jurisdiction, and this presentation today is really important. I'm part of a team on this presentation, so since you know me, let me bring up my partner on this and have him introduce himself. This is Colin.
Hey guys, my name's Colin Kia. I went to Stetson here and graduated in 2013. Right now I'm a senior at Ruston, so you guys should be there in a few years. I'm a partner with Mike and the rest of the people here, so I'll introduce Mrs. Baker, Vicky, and Dean.
Good morning. My name is Carol Baker, and I was a first grade teacher at Hillsdale Elementary School for many years. When I retired from that, I became the current president of the Westtown Goshen Rotary and director of the Read to Dream Foundation. I hope you really give this your attention. You're in a position to be the early adopters of this program, which means you can help influence other people and save lives. Thank you. Vicki Knice.
Hi, I'm Vicki Knice. I'm a senior at Henderson High School, and I just became a part to help bring awareness to the situation that I've seen a lot of, and I just hope this impacts you as much as it's impacted me. Dean Maupin.
Thank you, Vicki. Hi, guys. I'm Dean Maupin. I'm also a senior at Henderson High School. I'm a musician. I play guitar, I sing, so I'm on the road a lot, I'm driving a lot, and I see how much this is important. Like, this is so important. I see it all the time, people driving distracted, and it's just dangerous. So I really hope you guys really like this presentation. It's important.
At this time, we're going to show you a video. So the Distracted Driver Program is a collaboration, it's a partnership with the Westtown East Goshen Police Department, the PTO, the Westchester Area School District, and the Westchester Rotary Club. So what's our goal? Our goal is to keep people safe. Everybody's in cars, whether you drive a car, whether you're a passenger in a car, our goal is to keep everybody safe. And if you're a passenger in a car and you look around, you see people that are on their cell phones that are distracted. I go to so many car accidents, some fatal, some minor, and some, pretty moderate. And in all these accidents, I see that the driver was not paying attention, and for various reasons. So that's what our partnership is all about today.
All right, here we got a brand new 2015 Corvette. How many of you guys want to drive this? Show of hands. All right, it's a pretty fair amount of you. We'll come back to that car in a minute. So what causes distracted driving? A lot of you think it's just cell phones or talking. It can be a wide variety of things. So one, cell phone use, texting, calling on the phone, using Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, if you still use Facebook, that counts too. Texting, probably the worst offender. You see people all the time texting, and they're texting because they're sliding off the road, or their speed's not steady, or they crashed into a tree. And playing music, again, that's with the cell phone. Looking on your thing, got your aux cord plugged in, seeing which song you want to put on, and just changing the channel in general. You're taking your eyes off the road, which means you're not focused on the road. And eating. So you're driving down the road, you got your bag of pretzels, one of them falls between the seat and you got to reach to try and find it, and next thing you know, you're off the road into the side of a pond.
Other distractions that you see, and if you're in the car as a passenger looking around, you see people that are drinking. If you're drinking, it's hard to pay attention to what's in front of you. Grooming, people combing their hair, putting on makeup, that's very distracting. If you're fooling around, if you're just a passenger in a car and you're laughing, talking, and you're distracting the driver, it's hard for that driver to concentrate. And simply just looking away, if you're not paying attention to what's in front of you, the roadway, then your ability to make decisions and stop that car safely is really prohibited there. So you remember that beautiful red Corvette? Well, I wasn't at this accident, but if you're not paying attention, this is what can happen. You're not paying attention, that car is moving at a high rate of speed, the traffic in front of you stops, this is what can happen. At this time, we have another video we would like everybody to watch.
Smile.
So how many accidents a year? You got hundreds of thousands of accidents a year that are caused by distracted driving. And what this leads to is 4,000 to 5,000 killed a year, about 400,000 injuries, and $175 billion in damages. If you guys have ever heard of the Iraq War, we invaded Iraq in 2003, and we're still kind of messing around in there. Since 2003, less people have died total than die every single year from texting. We lost 4,400 people in Iraq, and up to 5,000 people die a year from texting. And I'd like to show another video here. So again, the consequences of distracted driving are real. You're looking at 4,000 to 5,000 people dead every year that can be easily preventable. Crippling injury, brain damage, spinal injuries. Thousands of people become paralyzed each year because they're texting and driving or on the phone and driving. Head injuries, mental duress. So when you hit your head pretty hard, if you play football, it can mess you up for a while, and sometimes it doesn't go quite back to how it was before. And what's the problem with this is, if you're in war or if you're getting an illness, those are things that aren't preventable. This is something that's so easily preventable that we're not doing enough about, something that has pointless consequences that don't need to exist.
There's also other consequences. There's the guilt of hurting somebody in an accident. You have to remember that the other party that you're involved in, you may have hurt them and they may significantly have changed their life. There's also financial damages. A lot of people don't realize this, but in all 50 states, if you're a driver and you get into an accident, you can be sued. It's called liability recourse for damages. That means you can be sued and your parents can be sued. So your money, house, things can be taken from you for a lawsuit. And insurance rates go up, and there's one more thing. It's against the law. So in the state of Pennsylvania, you should at least be aware of what the law is. And what the law states is, no driver shall operate a motor vehicle on a roadway using a wireless communication device to send, read, or write a text-based communication. So what we're asking is, when you see that going on and you're in a car, speak up. Do something about that, because you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping other people. We also have a list of distracted driving.
Yeah. Go back one.
Go back one.
We talked about this briefly before, but the average text is 5 to 15 seconds. If you're going 55 miles an hour for 5 seconds, you're going to go the length of a football field. So if you're not looking for 5 seconds, that's how far you're going to travel, and most likely there's going to be some consequences to that. Another thing about the eating and drinking, if you drop something and you look away, that's too long to look away from the road and you're not paying attention. One more is just the fooling around. If you're driving more than the amount of people, like if you have people in the back seat, you're turning around, laughing with them, you're looking away from the road and you're distracted. This is another, the 5 seconds equals 100 yards at 55 miles an hour, which is the length of one football field just for one text. 75% of rear-end collisions are caused by distractions, and half of the people never brake. %85 of cars leaving the road are caused by distractions. The majority of people that run red lights or stop signs are caused by distractions. Hitting a pedestrian at over 25 miles per hour will cause major injuries, and hitting them at over 40 miles per hour usually results in a death. We will now show you a video about a young girl whose life drastically changed just from one text.
I remember sitting at home thinking to myself, like, I have no one. My friends were there for me at first. After a while, they weren't. I looked up on her Facebook page, and she said, can anybody please hang out with me today? I have been friends. Before the car accident, things I did in high school, my friends were, just go to high school games and everything. Like we can go to a party, go bowling. I was a good student. I was a role model. I was like a popular girl in high school, so I used to well.
My main worry for Liz as a parent before she started driving was the typical teenage things, the drugs and the alcohol and, being safe and hanging around the right kind of kids and keeping her grades up. I did not think that Liz was connected to her mobile phone. I didn't realize that she loved her phone as much as she did.
I use my cell phone every second, every minute, every hour. Like if I didn't have it, I would freak out because I couldn't connect with my friends, couldn't connect with anyone, couldn't connect with social media or anything. Like if I didn't have my cell phone, I didn't want anything.
I would ask her all the time, Liz, do you text and drive? And she said, no, Mom, I swear I don't. Don't worry, I don't use my phone all the time.
I come into mornings while there's someone driving because everyone else was doing it. So I thought I was okay. I thought I was invincible. But clearly, I was completely wrong.
I was getting ready for work, and then 12 hours later, I'm in ICU staring at my daughter, who's bald, and tubes running in and out of her body, and it's just overwhelming devastation over a stupid text.
The consequences of my life now after the car accident is the fact that I'm blind right now. I cannot smell. I cannot hear that very good because of a broken half and from my eardrum. I can't create tears because my teardrops are damaged, and I can't put my body to sleep naturally. I take medicine to go to sleep. The hardest part of my life after the car accident was the fact that I was alone. Everyone was away at college. I wasn't. I couldn't drive, couldn't go to college. My friends were there for me at first. After a while, they weren't. They got tired of me. They got tired of all my problems.
Don't text your loved ones. When you know they're driving, it can change their lives forever.
If you get a text, don't look at it. It's not worth it.
It can happen to anybody and it can happen at any time, so you always have to be aware. I want to tell you guys actually another story about a boy. He was in 9th grade, so just 1 year ahead of you guys. He was at home with his sister and they get a phone call and it's from the hospital. Their parents had just been hit by a distracted driver. The driver was texting, he wasn't looking at the road, he ran through a red light, and he hit them, never stopping, at 55 miles an hour. You saw the car that the child's parents were in, you'd assume that the outcome was much, much worse. When I got that call from the hospital, learning that my parents had been in the accident, I was stunned. I was like, I mean, what do you mean? Like, I didn't think it could happen to me, but it can happen to anybody, and it can happen at any time. I'm very lucky that my parents are alive, and although they were injured, they're doing much better now. But I wanted to stress that distracted driving is something that can happen to anybody. It can happen to you, it can happen to your parents. It can happen just from one small text. It's not worth it. So what I want you guys to do is, when you guys leave, you're gonna receive a pamphlet. And inside, there's some information about what we talked about. It also has the pledge. To take the pledge to not be a distracted driver. I want you guys to take this home to your parents. Talk to your parents about what you learned today. Have them take the pledge. Have you guys take the pledge and learn more information about distracted driving, because it's too real and it's too important and it's taken too many lives. So the pledge is not to text, not to use your phone while you're driving, not to listen to music, not to get distracted with your friends while you're driving or while you're with them. But it's also to empower yourself and to tell others not to be distracted. If you're driving, your brother is maybe taking you to school, he's on his phone, or your sister, tell them, stand up, empower yourself and tell them, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, because not only are you in the car, but I'm in the car with you. See your parents, your moms, or dad, anybody taking you, make sure that they're keeping their head up and that they're staying focused on the road. It's right, not to tell others, keeping your head up. It's all too real. It can happen to anybody, like I've said before. Thank you.
I can't imagine how Dean felt when he got that call, when he saw the car, saw his parents. And at this point in time, I would like to have everybody stand up here. You can sit down. If you have any questions about anything, we're happy to tell you. Just raise your hand and, yes, sir. A little louder, please.
Yeah, the radio is just as important. If you're listening to music, if you're trying to dial in on the radio, you're not looking at the road. You must always be looking at the road while you're driving. So my recommendation is, before you start driving, set it to the radio station that you like most, and don't change it because it's too dangerous.
And just to add to that, so young drivers, if your parents have been driving for years and years, they have the radio on and they're driving a car, they can do that safely. They have a lot of experience. When you're a young driver, if you have an older brother or sister, when you start driving, you're actually driving that car. You've got to check your mirrors and what's around you. You've got to look for road signs. You're looking for other traffic. And if you're playing with the music or you're singing a song with the music and you're not able to multitask and do all those other things, yeah, you're more susceptible, more likely to get into an accident. So for young drivers, music for me is not the greatest idea, or it should be really low. Or once the station's on, don't change it. But for your parents, yeah, they're able to do those things because they have what? More experience driving. And someday when you're, maybe you're in your 20s and 30s, yeah, you'll have more experience too. But are you ever really good at something when you first try it? A lot of things probably not. But driving is one thing that it takes a lot of skill and a lot of time and a lot of practice to get really good at. So the radio for your parents is no problem. For your older brothers and sisters, just make sure it's low and don't have them changing the stations. I mean, that's what I think is the best idea with that. Are there any other questions? So really, I'm sorry.
What would be a good age to start practicing driving before you get your license or permit?
Well, around 16 years old, you should be talking to your parents, and 15, 16 about that. But the PennDOT has all of the rules, regulations, all the information you need. So if you go to that website, it'll give you a ton of information on that. But it's something that you have to gradually get into. It's not something that a lot of people think you just get your driver's license and you're out on the road. It takes tons and tons of practice. There's so many hours you have to actually accumulate before you can actually drive that car safely.
One thing, we will be passing out this booklet as you leave to go back to class. It's called Heads Up for Safety. One thing, go over this with your parents. Also, you can go online on YouTube. Look up Liz Marks. That's the name of the young lady who was in the accident. I strongly recommend that you sit down and have your parents view that with you and just say, I'd like to show you something. It's taken right off the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's website, but you can get it on YouTube, Liz Marks. It's powerful, and I think it'll be very informative for both your parents and anybody else you know who's driving.
And one more thing. So if you're in a car with somebody, whether it's your parents, your uncle, friends, neighbors, and they're driving the car and you see them distracted and you're going to tell them about it, say it nicely. Say it nicely. Don't just yell at them. Don't just say it mean. Say it nicely. Start out nicely and then tell them why. And what are the reasons why? Well, that's what the presentation was all about. Teach them about all the distractions that occur in a car. And I guarantee you, if it's one of your family members, somebody that really cares about you, you explain it to them nicely, they're going to stop. They're going to stop right there. And not only do you help save your life, you save everyone else's life in the car.
Now, the final thing before I turn it over to Dr. C is that this is the first presentation that we've put on. We're hoping to spread this throughout the southeastern Pennsylvania area and the Rotary clubs at other high school, other middle schools around the Philadelphia area. We want to take it national and hopefully international. You are the founders of this program. So I ask you to be good stewards for what we're trying to do and help. We're making a video. We have 2 videographers from Henderson. If you'd like to stand up and introduce yourself, guys.
I'm Noah, I'm a sophomore in Henderson. Karen Green was also a sophomore in Henderson.
Yeah, they're videotaping this, so we're going to put a presentation together to show the other schools and other school districts. So wave to the camera as you go out. Dr. C?
Yes, thank you. And you've been a great audience. I just want to share with the 1 minute we have left, share a couple conversations I've had. One was with Mr. Logan. And Mr. Logan, before he became a teacher, worked for the Allstate Insurance Company. And if you talk to him, he still has friends at Allstate, and he'll tell you that a lot of accidents, especially the rear end collisions, are from distracted driving. The other is a conversation I've had with Officer Mike many times, that when I'm on my motorcycle, I have to keep an eye on what's ahead of me. But guess where I'm more worried? Where do I get more worried? Behind me. So I'm looking in the rearview mirrors to see if anybody's texting. And I get over into another lane if I see someone on a cell phone. Or if I pull up to a traffic light and I see someone on their phone, I'll toot my horn and I'll say, put it down. So you have to be an advocate. You have to stand up and you have to say something. So if your mom or dad or anybody's sitting there like this at a traffic light, you need to tell them to put it away for your own safety. If we could have some teachers